Okay, well I can. I'll have a chat about it. I just suddenly thought I might not have shown you just very briefly, because you were talking about the stats and things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen my figures, but this is some.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Herefordshire. That's the Shropshire number of applications by year, and its numbers of sheds is my unit, if you like. This is the cumulative for the two counties over that period.
So there's 300 in Shropshire and there's nearly 400 in Herefordshire, is that right? Sorry, nearly 500.
This is very rough,
right,
and
okay.
I wouldn't want them quoted because I haven't really gone back to super check. And what was a unit or a shed, I'm conscious may have changed over time. You know, a unit back here would have been an awful lot smaller than a unit here, so it's not. So there's quite a lot of, but it gives an overall trend.
This is, when you say shed, this is one building. So there could be 4 buildings on one site. Okay, right.
Yeah, and some of these, so you know, that one there is probably maybe just one application, for example. But some of them are for 1, some of them are for 3, some of them are for 6. What else have I got? I've got some maps. That's Herefordshire. That's 2000 and 2017. Sizes relating to the number of sheds, and the colours is that. Yeah. So, for example, that could be Wetmore.
Yeah.
And is that Hopton?
Yep. That's going to be Hopton. Mind you, that's a large one. It's Hopton Heath, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think they expanded as well because they've got 8 there already.
Yeah.
And those are that's what will be showing up here because they're on the Herefordshire.
Yeah, there were 4 and then there were 8, weren't they? Yeah.
And then this is Shropshire.
Again.
So 2000 and 2017. And again, this all needs checking and so on and so forth. But it gives you a bit of an idea. So I'm guessing that must be Wiston's.
Yeah. And that's Colfton. But that's doubled in size now, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to go through all these and actually see them because I didn't generate these, but they work off my spreadsheet. So So it should be picking up exactly, but I haven't done the double checking on it all, to be perfectly honest. So is that done? That's interesting because there is a turkey unit down there that day. Was it? Anyway. Yeah, I think there's some. It's not to be quoted, and those are that you're aware of those compassionate farming stats, aren't you?
I'm not, but I can see.
Oh well, these were published last summer, and they did hit the press nationally, and certainly in Herefordshire it hit the press a little bit.
I saw the articles, yeah.
And so the number of counties in the UK carries on to over here, and these just have none. And these are the counties that are impacted.
That's very interesting.
Very geographically. And interestingly, Powys is there. Now, this is broilers, not eggs. Yeah. But that's the point at which I said, actually, I don't think I'm going to include Powys. Because partly I needed a reason to narrow things down, and that gave me my reason. Anyway, I just thought you might be interested. Oh, and this is the coverage in the Hereford Times in terms of number of articles and letters, which gives me my controversy.
Hot topic now. It's interesting, isn't it?
I haven't updated it, so
that's reflected in the amount of applications.
There were 3 or 4 super controversial ones, and it stayed quite controversial.
Interesting.
Anyway, so that was just to give you a bit of feel for that. Let me just, we can carry on talking when we're walking, but there's probably just a few more topics. I know. Does Shropshire use the system of supplementary planning documents and things? Are you aware of anything that would... It's been discussed in Herefordshire quite a bit and there's been people calling for supplementary planning document on intensive agriculture, if not specifically on poultry units. And I don't know whether you've been aware of any conversations like that in Shropshire, that it might help fill in any gaps in any of the existing policies.
There are two I'm aware of for the Clun, which I think is the ammonia guidance note,
yeah.
which is, and the other one was for developments involving domestic developments involving things like sewage, septic tanks, package treatment plants, that sort of thing. There was quite a bit of controversy over that in terms of there's pretty much a stop on development in the Clun catchment because they're going down to phosphate load, and these critical limits were set for pearl mussels, and so pearl mussels got the blame for it a little bit in the fact that these limits have been set, and therefore if these limits have been set, we need to be able to show that any development is not actually adding additional phosphates, and I suppose that created quite a bit of hiatus in development in the catchment. I'm not quite sure the situation now regarding that. I'm sure developments are going ahead, but people's extensions, that sort of thing. Yeah.
But I mean, there's the whole Hurst Barn.
Well, that was a crazy thing about it. Hurst Barns wasn't included in that scenario. It was for domestic properties. So I always thought it was missing the point a bit, because my point, and I think most people agree with this, is that it's not people's extension with an additional toilet that is not causing the demise of the freshwater pearl mussel. It's the cumulative amount of phosphates and nitrates that are being applied to the land, either by direct application or via atmospheric deposition. That's where the key problems are. It's the intensification of agriculture.
So when they wrote that document about the domestic stuff, did nobody say, should we include any other non-domestic forms of development in this guidance note?
Yes. And it was a case of one bridge at a time sort of argument. We need to say, in terms of the SAC, the one lobby you don't want to lock horns with is the farming industry, right? This is my perception of the situation at the time. So it was a matter of sorting out those problems, or ruling out those problems, or addressing those problems that can be addressed at that particular time. So on that list was sewage treatment works. Now Severn Trent have got a statutory duty to actually make sure they're not polluting a European site or a SSSI. So that's an easy tick in the box in many respects. And then the next one is, well, in terms of households, if we put this guidance out, that's another tick in the box. But when it comes to things like tackling the biggest culprits, as it were, you almost need to have the evidence that those things have been looked at first to say that, oh, well, Severn Trent are doing their bits. The domestic development element of this, that's being addressed before you can start locking horns with the NFU. And this is what we had with the nutrient management plan. And again, there were other people more involved in this than me. But when they engaged Atkins consultants to develop the nutrient management plan, and the first draft of that was really the NFU really went to town on it in terms of the data and the data that was used in there. But it's part of this process of gathering your data, and you have to sort of get your red line in the sand, or your line in the sand type of thing. And we had to show that, those that are trying to work in the Clun had to provide evidence that these things